No candidate faces a bigger challenge in November than Cynthia Kallgren, who is still a relative newcomer to elective politics.
I ran for State House 2 years ago, and I fell a little short, but because of that experience, I was able to work on 3 different bills that actually 2 of them have passed in the House and Senate in Michigan, and the 3rd one's well on its way.
This time around, Kallgren has her sights set even higher. She's taking on the Dean of the U.S. House of Representatives, John Dingell.
He's been there for 57 years, since 5 years before I was born, and probably before most of your listeners were born too. And it is quite a challenge. It's an uphill battle because everyone knows his name and most people don't know the name of Kallgren. So I'm out there every day at the doors talking to people and introducing myself and asking for their vote and their confidence in me. I grew up in Southgate, and I was there from kindergarten to 12th grade. Went to Southgate High School, which is now combined with Schaefer and Southgate Anderson High School. And then I got married after going to Michigan State and then finishing at Eastern. I married my husband Scott, and he's been working at BASF in Wyandotte, and we raised our children in Trenton.
While Kallgren applauds Dingell's service, she argues it's time for change.
I don't feel that in the last 10, 20 years, Mr. Dingell's been doing the job to bring jobs back to Southeast Michigan, and especially downriver, Dearborn, where I see a lot of decline in empty businesses and empty homes. As I'm knocking on doors, I'm seeing it even in the neighborhood I grew up in, where I'd ride my bike around the block and deliver newspapers. I knew the families in those homes, and I'm knocking on doors and seeing there's no car in their driveway, there's no furniture in the living room, they've been abandoned. And I never thought that would happen to my neighborhood. So it really motivates me to want to see a change in the economy of this area. And I think when people are in politics for a long time, they lose sight of the real people in their district. They're spending a lot of time in Washington and not creating friendships with people they care about and hearing about how their husband lost their job, and really emotionally wanting to fix that.
In addition to jobs, Kallgren says Washington must address the debt problem this country is facing.
The national debt is now $16 trillion. And that's $50,000 for every man, woman, and child in the country. That's just unacceptable. I have been a mom. I've lived within our means. Our family has lived within our means for our entire life. And I expect my government to do the same. I can't, as a mother, leave that legacy to my children to mop up the mess we've made. And I think politicians need to look at how they're treating people's money and live within a budget like families do every day, and not just keep spending and not be able to say no to people for different projects when it's going to impact our children so strongly. So being a mom is probably a big reason that I'm running for Congress, is I don't want to leave that to my children. That is the last thing I want to leave to my children. I think people realize it's time for a change. I think they're ready for a fresh face and a woman's voice in Congress. Just from what the people are telling me at the doors, I do feel like I have a chance. John Dingell has served for a long time, and he's done a lot for people and made a lot of friends along the way, and I can appreciate that. I would be committed to giving the same kind of customer service that they're telling me about at the doors. That, you know, he helped me get my son into a military academy. He helped me get a passport. That's a congressperson's job, and I will make sure that anyone that I hire has that same customer service mentality. But I really am optimistic because we are taking the time to get out and meet people, and I'm a citizen legislator. I want to be the representative of the voice of the people, and I've lived with people for 52 years in this district while John's been in Washington. And I think that's the difference between us, is he's really put down his roots in another state, and he comes back to visit. This is my home, and this is where I hear what people are worried about every day. And so I believe I can bring their concerns to DC and have a pretty accurate reading as to what they really want.
For Democracy 2012, Dave Llewellyn, 7 Action News.